Now there's a neat thing that we can do in Google Earth to create a tour that will visit all of our waypoints and show us all of our photos. And that's as easy as making sure you've selected your KML layer up at the top, and you will see that there's a button down at the bottom of this little window here that has a folder icon with a play symbol on it. And if we click on that, we will play a tour. We can see that we get our bubbles popping up, and after 10 seconds we will go to the next one. Now this is using the default kind of zoom level that all these place marks had when we open up Google Earth, which is not terribly exciting. So I'm going to quit this tour for now because there's a couple things we need to make sure that we do. If we go into the preferences for Google Earth and we come to the touring tab, we need to make sure we set our time between features and our weighted features to be useful numbers. The time between features should be fairly low-ish because we're in a small area. If we were jumping around the planet, we'd probably want to make that longer because it would be too fast. And then the wait at features time should be however long we think we need to take to talk about the feature. So I would say minimum 10 seconds and maybe even longer, but that can be adjusted as you practice. The other thing to turn on is the show balloon when waiting at features, and that way we don't have to worry about that getting clicked manually. In order to make our tour much more interesting, we can save the sort of zoom level and angle for each of our place marks. So for instance, we can rotate the streets with this upper ring where the north symbol is to make that a little bit better. And probably want to have your place mark centered. And in order to save it for this place mark, I'm going to right click on it and then choose Snapshot View. And every time we visit this place mark, we will be zoomed in exactly the same way, etc. And now we can move to the next one. For number 2, I know that I'm sort of looking towards the building here, so I might want to rotate the whole thing like that so that we see, although our photo's sideways, we're kind of looking towards the street and the buildings. And then for number 3, I might want to rotate a little bit more because we're looking down the sidewalk, I believe. Yep. And so I'll snapshot that. Did I snapshot number 2? I don't. Just double check. Aye. Little tricky getting it just right. But I'll snapshot that. And then number 4, actually the same kind of idea because we're looking in towards the store. Could even zoom in slightly, put that in the middle, and snapshot that. And I would go around to all of my place marks doing the same kind of thing. I'm going to return to kind of the overview, or set up an overview that isn't quite so zoomed out. That'll be kind of our starting point. So I can do the same kind of thing, snapshot view for my KML layer. When we play this, we will first zoom in to number 1. We can practice talking about them to see if 10 seconds is enough. I'll do that on the next one. There we go. We go to number 2. This photo showing a lot of the overhanging signs that we also saw in photos from Asia. We can see a very similar kind of fruit and vegetable market in the same way that we saw them in Asia. And here's another view of the very kind of casual signage that is often used in these markets. And so on. And I'll just stop that because we're just practicing. So once you have, I'm going to just do this, start this off one more time. Once you have saved your snapshot view for each of your place marks and you've played through the tour and maybe practiced saying what you're going to say, we're going to want to save the tour. So I'm going to click on save here, and we get a window coming up for the tour, and we can call this simply Asia in Toronto. Maybe you also want to add your names by Chris and Paul, something like that, and just click OK. And so now we've got that saved as its own kind of thing down at the bottom here.